1 assist. That's it. 1 assist stands between Bruno Fernandes and the most exclusive record in Premier League history. And tonight, he moved to within touching distance of it. 19 assists in a single Premier League season. With 4 games still to play, let that breathe for a second, because Thierry Henry set that record, Kevin De Bruyne matched it, and nobody has touched it since. 2 of the greatest players this league has ever seen, and right now, a Manchester United captain is hunting them both down. But here's what's wild to me. That's not even the biggest story from tonight. Casemiro headed in his 9th league goal of the season. Benjamin Cesco scored his 10th. United are 3 points away from almost certainly locking up a top 5 finish, a Champions League return, 3 years in the making. And yet, I'm sitting here thinking about how nervy that finish was, about the 87th minute, about how this team still finds a way to make you sweat, even when they're comfortable. That's Manchester United. That's always been Manchester United. Right, I'm Bella. Welcome back to Bella MUFC Analysis. If you're new here, this is where we go deeper than the headlines. No noise, no agenda, just real football conversation. And if you've been here before, you already know what we do. So smash that like button before we get into this, because tonight's breakdown, there's a lot to unpack. Subscribe if you haven't already. I promise you will not regret it. Let's go. So, United win 2-1, Brentford at Old Trafford, job done. On paper, on the surface, result achieved. But I want to talk about how this actually played out, because I think the way you read this game tells you everything about where this team really is. And it's more complicated than the scoreline suggests. First half, United were electric in moments, genuinely. Kobbie Mainoo was doing things in the opening 20 minutes that had me rewinding. That dribble that set up Ahmad's chance in the 2nd minute was beautiful, technically beautiful, the kind of movement you don't expect from a 20-year-old in a game this important. But Ahmad, listen, I rate Ahmad, I genuinely rate him, but tonight was one of those nights where you just have to be honest. He missed 2 big chances. The first one was blocked on the line, fine, that happens. But the second one, that was one he has to score. And the fact that he was taken off at half-time tells you everything about how Carrick saw it. Now here's where I want to go deeper, because the easy conversation is just Ahmad had a bad game. That's it, end of story, move on. But what does Ahmad's inconsistency actually cost this team? Think about it. United created good chances in that first half. The structure was there, the movement was there. Bruno was finding pockets, Mainoo was carrying, Casemiro was arriving late. The system was working. But if the striker or the wide attacker can't finish, all of that build-up becomes nothing, statistically nothing. And that's the frustrating part, because United actually created 11 shots tonight, 11, against a Brentford side who came in with 5 consecutive draws. The chances were there. The problem isn't the creation. The problem is the conversion. Tell me if I'm wrong here. But anyway, the goal, Casemiro, 11 minutes in, Maguire's header, looping, Casemiro arriving at the back post, towering finish, and Old Trafford goes absolutely mad, not just for the goal, for him, for Casemiro specifically. 1 more year, 1 more year, 1 more year, the entire ground chanting it. And I'll be honest with you, that got me. That actually got me, because this is a player who announced in January he's leaving at the end of the season. He made that clear. And somehow, between January and now, he's gone on this incredible run. 9 league goals, playing like he remembers who he is. And the fans just, they don't want to let him go. And I understand it. I completely understand it. But here's the part that nobody is really talking about properly. Casemiro's departure this summer isn't just a sentimental loss, it's a structural one. Because look at how this midfield actually functions. Casemiro is the anchor. He's the reason Mainoo can go and be Mainoo. He's the reason Bruno can push forward and find those pockets without leaving United completely exposed in transition. When Casemiro goes, that balance changes entirely. United are in advanced talks to sign Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle. Big move, around 80 million. And look, Guimaraes is elite. I don't have a problem with the player at all. But the question I keep asking myself is he the same kind of presence? Is he going to sit? Is he going to do the ugly work the way Casemiro does it? Because Casemiro doesn't just tackle. He reads the game 2 seconds before anyone else. He positions himself to cut off attacks before they even start. He's a specialist, and specialists, they're hard to replace. That's what worries me, not the summer in general, but that specific role going, that specific type of intelligence leaving Old Trafford. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Bruno Fernandes, 19 assists in a single Premier League season. I want to actually talk about what this means, not just quote the number, not just say, wow, that's impressive. Let's actually dig into this. The record, 20 assists, was set by Thierry Henry in 2002 to 2003. Then matched by Kevin De Bruyne in 2019 to 2020. 2 different eras, 2 completely different styles of player, but both absolutely elite at reading the game and delivering the final ball. And now Bruno is one away with 4 games left. What makes this even more remarkable to me is the context. His first assist this season didn't come until match week 8. So essentially he's produced 19 assists in less than 30 appearances. Once you strip away those early blank weeks, the rate of it is extraordinary. And I think the reason this has happened, and this is important, is Michael Carrick. Under Amorim, Bruno was being played in a hybrid midfield role, a Reggie-style position, deep, controlling. And look, there's an argument that it made him a more complete player tactically. I'll give Amorim that. But it also strangled what Bruno does best, which is arrive in dangerous areas, create from close range to the striker, be unpredictable in the final third. Carrick moved him back to 10, natural 10, and the numbers explode. Under Amorim, 2 open play assists. Under Carrick, 6. Just in open play, that's the difference a position makes. That's how much a manager's structure either unlocks or limits a player's real ceiling. And that's a lesson for every manager who tries to reinvent elite players into roles they weren't built for.
Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is just let them be what they are.
Right. Let me ask you something. Do you think Bruno Fernandes will break the record? He needs 1 assist in 4 games. Liverpool at Old Trafford next, then Sunderland, Nottingham Forest and Brighton. Genuinely, do you think he gets it? Drop it in the comments. I want to see what everyone thinks, because for me, I think he does. And I think he does it against Liverpool, which would be the most Bruno Fernandes way possible. The biggest stage or the biggest match. Of course, that's when it happens. Now, let's talk about Benjamin Cesco, because I think Cesco is becoming the quiet success story of this whole season. 10 league goals. Outright top scorer at the club. And what I love about how he played tonight was the hold-up play, the physicality of it, the way he brought Mbumada Ahmad into positions. It wasn't just the goal, it was everything around it. When United brought Cesco in, the conversation was always, can he be a 20-goal striker? Can he be the main man? And I think for a first season in a team that went through an absolute crisis in the first half of the campaign under Amorim, 10 goals is solid. It's honest work. It's the foundation of something. But here's what I want to see. And I think this is the next level question for Cesco specifically. Can he do it in the Champions League? Because that's where United are heading next season. That's the real test. The Premier League is one thing. European nights at Old Trafford under the lights against elite defenders in knockout football. That's where we find out if Benjamin Cesco is a starter for a top 5 club or someone who is still developing into one. I believe he can get there. The tools are there. The physicality, the touch for a big man, the movement. But that Champions League question is the one I'll be watching very closely next season now. Man United were largely comfortable. Carrick brought on Euro for Shaw. And that's worth noting, actually, because Shaw picked up a yellow in the 6th minute and was always a risk of seeing red if he kept going. Smart management. Mazraoui came on too and showed again that he's a really reliable squad player, not spectacular, but professional, does his job. Then the 87th minute, Matthias Jensen, strike from outside the box, and suddenly it's 2-1 and Brentford sniffs something. And I'm watching this thinking, why does this always happen? Why does this team consistently find a way to make the closing stages uncomfortable, even when they're ahead, even when they've controlled the game well enough? There's always a moment where it opens up. And look, they held on, 3 points, job done. I'm not going to be dramatic about it, but the pattern is real. In the last 10 minutes of games where United are ahead, they have repeatedly switched off. Against Bournemouth, they drew 2-2 after being in a winning position. Against Leeds, they lost. The late game management is something Carrick is still working on. And going into Champions League football next season, that has to be solved, because at that level, teams punish you. They don't just score a consolation, they equalise. They win it in added time. That's a problem, a real problem. And I think part of it is structural. When United go into a defensive block late in a game, they don't have enough composure in the middle of the park to just keep the ball, to eat the clock. Casemiro does that. He knows how to be professional in those moments. Without him, who does it? Mainu is still learning. Bruno is still trying to create. And Carrick's attacking intent sometimes leaves gaps that experienced sides will exploit. This is something to watch. Let's talk about Carrick for a second, because I think the Carrick conversation is one that needs to have a serious answer before the end of this season. He came in January. The team was in complete disarray. The atmosphere at Old Trafford was toxic. Performances were dire. And within weeks, he shifted the tactical setup, got Bruno back in his best position, and United started winning football matches again. Since Carrick took over, 8 wins in 12. That's not a bad return. That's genuinely good management. But here's my honest take, and I want to be real about this. I don't think we should just hand him the job because of one good half season. I think we need to see the summer, see the recruitment, see how he builds the squad with actual transfer windows at his disposal, because managing with an inherited squad who are motivated by desperation is one thing, Building a team with real tactical identity over a full season is another. That said, I'm not against him, not at all. If the right candidates aren't available, if the board genuinely believes in what he's doing, fine, give him the summer, give him a proper pre-season, and then judge him. But don't make the decision because it's easy, make it because it's right. Manchester United can't afford another wrong call in the dugout now. The bigger picture, and this is what I actually want you to sit with, Champions League qualification. 3 years without it, and we are on the edge of walking back through that door. What does that mean for this club? Practically speaking, it means revenue, significant revenue, the kind of money that funds proper recruitment. That makes United competitive in transfer markets where currently they simply can't keep up with the top clubs. It means player attraction, because when you go to a player and say, come to Old Trafford and you'll be in the Champions League, that conversation is completely different to the one United were having 2 years ago. It means something for the soul of this club, for the fans, for the identity, because United and the Champions League, that's where this club belongs. The European nights, the knockout football, the anthem, that's in United's DNA. And I'll be honest, when I think about what this season has been, the nightmare start, the Amorim chaos, the January crisis, and then this remarkable turnaround, I get emotional about it, genuinely, because I've watched this team go through some dark places, and to come out of it like this, to be sitting here talking about Champions League qualification with 4 games left and an 11-point cushion over 6th place, that's something, that's really something. But I want to add one thing, because I'm not someone who gets swept up in the moment and forgets the problems. Qualifying is the minimum. Next season, in the Champions League, I need to see this team actually compete. I don't want an early exit. I don't want 15 months of progress and then a group stage elimination. I want United back as a genuine European force, and that requires the right summer, the right signings, the right decision on the manager, getting Guimaraes in if that deal is real, finding a Cesco partner or backup, sorting the defensive situation because De Ligt is injured, Martinez has been suspended, and Maguire now has a potential injury concern after tonight. There is so much work to do. But the foundation tonight feels different, it feels real, and for the first time in a long time, I'm actually excited about what comes next for this club. Now, final 4 games, Liverpool at Old Trafford, Sunderland away, Nottingham Forest at home, Brighton away, Liverpool first, and this is the one, because Liverpool, with all due respect to the other 3 fixtures, Liverpool is the match where United can make a real statement. Champions League all but wrapped up, Old Trafford rock. Bruno chasing a historic record, Casemiro in the form of his life. The conditions are set for something special, but United beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge just last week with 1 shot on target. 1, and they won, because that's what this team does under Carrick sometimes. They find ways, they're pragmatic, they're ruthless in the moments that matter. Win probability for Liverpool sits at about 34% for the visitors, according to current models. United slight favourites, and I think that's right, at home with the crowd. With what's at stake, I think United win that game 3-1 and Bruno gets his assist and Old Trafford explodes. Tell me your prediction for Liverpool in the comments. I genuinely want to know, before I close, Casemiro. I want to come back to him because I don't think we've given this enough weight as fans. This man has been one of the best signings of the post-Ferguson era. When he arrived, the narrative was always about the fee, too expensive, too old, too slow. And in his first season, there were moments where those criticisms felt fair. But this season, this farewell season, what he has done is remarkable. 9 goals. Multiple crucial moments. That header tonight, the way he demands the ball at set pieces, the way he commands the midfield, the way he leads on the pitch without needing a captain's armband. And the chance, the genuine emotion from the Stretford end. 1 more year, 1 more year. I think there's a small chance he stays. A very small chance. Because apparently he's been deeply moved by the reaction. And I get it. Why would you walk away from this, from an Old Trafford that loves you like this? From a team that's heading back to the Champions League? Maybe the story isn't over yet. But if it is, if this is genuinely the end, then I want to say clearly Casemiro deserves a proper send-off. He deserves every chant, every standing ovation. Every moment of recognition this ground can give him in these final 4 home appearances, because he came here when the club was broken and he never stopped caring, he never stopped running, he never stopped competing. That matters. Right, here's where I land on tonight. Win! Yes. Deserved? Mostly. Convincing? Not entirely. The Casemiro and Bruno combination is the heartbeat of everything good about this team right now, and we need to be very intentional about what replaces it this summer. Cesco is developing into a real asset, but he needs support. He needs a proper partner or a system built around his strengths at European level. Ahmad's finishing has to improve massively. Because the opportunities are there, the chances are being created, but those misses in big moments that cost you in knockout football and the late game management, Carrick needs to solve that before August, but overall, this club is heading in a direction that feels right again. And as a fan, that means everything. So Manchester United, Champions League next season, almost certain. Bruno Fernandes, 1 assist from history. Casemiro possibly playing his final games in red with everything still left to give and 4 games to write the ending of a season that nobody expected to look like this. Charles, I am here for every second of it. Drop your player of the match in the comments. Mine was Kobbie Mainoo, by the way. I know Casemiro got the goal. I know Bruno got the assist. Mainoo was the engine tonight. That dribble in the second minute was world class and we need to appreciate him more. Subscribe if you're not already. Like this video if you got something from it, and I will see you before the Liverpool game because that one deserves its own full breakdown. We're going to the Champions League and it starts now.